here. We're going to talk about the 72-hour bug out bag. There's plenty of videos out there that regards with what you should have in your bag. And what I found out after watching many different videos and being a recovering gear hog is that there's a lot of unnecessary things and too much of one item and not enough of the other, and the basic principles that are listed up here have been lost. A lot of it has to do is because there's a lot of people out there that want to go out and buy more things when you can use those things for your family, save up some money to go on a vacation, to do some bushcrafting, work with the things, the items that you have in your gear. So with this video I'm gonna kind of go over the very basic principles, and of course there's going to be things that you can throw in there for extra luxury, if you will, but like I say in a majority of my videos, you have to go out there and you have to try your gear out. Just don't take my word for it. Don't take any of the major survival schools that has their videos out. Don't take their words for it. They do know what they're talking about because obviously they teach class and stuff like that, but also they want to sell things too, majority of them. Some of them don't. Some of them are like legit, but let's get started with this with the good old whiteboard, and we're going to start off with number 2, and we're going to work our way up, and then we're going to go back to number 1, and we'll see if anyone can figure out what number 1 would be. So number 2, the most important thing that you should have in your bug out bag is water. Okay, you need H2O. Very, very, very important. Okay, I'm going to switch off markers here because I don't know how well that's going to show up. So we'll toss this one to the side. Nice throw there on Pete. But water is important. There's different ways of having water with you. One, you can carry your own. Okay, that's bottles, a canteen, a bladder. It's your choice. I prefer to have a container of some sort, usually a GI container or a pot that's made out of metal. So with water, you have to know how to purify. Okay, to purify, there's several different ways to purify. You can either use tabs, you can use a filter, or you can make your own. I'm going to erase all this here. Or make your own. Can't you tell I was never a school teacher? Okay, now what I mean by tabs is that you got your chlorine tabs, you have your iodine tablets. I usually always have that just in case. A filter, you always need a filter. I recommend always carrying a filter of some sort and get something that has good reviews. I'm not even going to name all the different ones out there. I'm sure I'll have a video with the ones that I use. Or make your own filter. But the most one thing that's important is fire. Fire is probably the best way to purify your water. You boil your water for a good 5 minutes, and you're pretty much safe. Depending on the runoff streams. But you always want to research with the water part of it, with your filters, with your tabs. You want to know how to make your own fire. The length to do it and what kind of water to look for, not stagnant water or what have you. Okay, but my first choice out of all of these would be a fire. Okay, now shelter. There's all different types of shelters. You got natural shelters. What a natural shelter is, you have a fallen down tree and it's stable. It's just not just hanging there. It has all of its branches, and if it's summertime, it may have leaves on it. It could be a pine tree. But there's enough structures on that tree to add stuff, either dead leaves, more branches, what have you, to get yourself in there to protect you from the elements. So that takes, you go into the woods, just kind of look around. You may see a tree over there, like, you know what, that would work for a shelter. Now, with that said, you can carry your own. You can carry a tent. Some people like to use those small little pup tents. I don't see a problem with it. I prefer not to because it takes up more room in my bag. You got tarps, which is my choice for a man-made shelter. Is always a tarp because you have more purpose with the tarp than you do over with the tent. See, the tent you can only basically use it for a shelter. The tarp you can use it as a shelter. You can use it to grab your firewood to drag along. You can use it as a blanket if necessary, if it's a must. The tarp has more than one purpose than a tent. So I will always choose a tarp. For shelter wise, I'll go with a natural first, and then I would use a tarp. You can use a tarp to cover up the natural shelter too if need be. That's pretty much the choices with shelters in my opinion. I'm sure that there's other stuff out there, what have you. Food. Oh, also with the shelter though, a very important thing is if there's no natural things, you don't have a tent, you don't have a tarp, a fire. Okay? And your clothes. The clothes on your back. Because usually we dress for the weather. Okay? So we'll add that up here too. Okay? The clothes that you wear, you already know what the weather's going to be like. Majority of the people watch the forecast. Yes, sometimes the weather will change in the clear blue, but usually you have a shirt on, you have pants on. If it's chilly out, you have a jacket. That's your first line of defense. You can lay next to a nice hot fire and stay warm. So basically it goes from clothes, fire to your other man-made shelters, and nature would obviously be first. Okay? I'm hoping that's making a little bit of sense. Let's move on to number 4 with food. Well, food, you can carry your own. Some people carry these MRIs, MREs, I'm sorry, the brain fart. I don't use the MREs. They do have a great purpose. I usually use the Mountain House, but with the MREs, they're a little bit more pricier, but they do work good. They have their own little burner in there, and you're all set. Usually in a pack, I'll have a yo-yo trap. Okay, if you don't know what that is, you can look it up. Basically, it's like almost like a fishing reel with a self-release. You can use it obviously for fishing. You can use it for trapping. In a survival situation, each state laws are different if you're able to use them during like a regular season. I only have that for emergency circumstances, and that's it. So, and they're small, they're light, So you got your MREs, you got your yo-yo traps, snares, a fishing kit with some fishing line, which I should work on my penmanship. And basically, like with a fishing kit, it's just some line, which the line has multiple purposes. You can use it obviously for fishing. You can use it for fixing your gear, repairing your gear. Have a couple sinkers and a couple hooks. Just a small little pack. Eventually, I'll go over that in more detail. But like I said, this is just like a basic outline to kind of get you focused on the things that you need. Okay? Med kit is number 5. I had that as number 5, but this is almost a close to number 2 to me, because if you get hurt and get an infection, you're basically screwed. Okay? Mostly in a survival situation. A lot of people think, well, be careful. Well, if anyone knows, if they walk through the woods, or even walking to the car, people slip, they sprain their ankles walking through the woods, they get cut from thorn bushes that they didn't see, poison ivy, what have you. A med kit's important. Now, I've seen med kits that were in its own pack like that. That's more for if you can throw your stuff in a vehicle. If you have only your items in your pack and that's it, you want your med kit. And that's basic stuff, ace bandages, gauze, bandages, ointment, I use tea tree oil for bug bites, small cuts, things like that. Um, the list can be endless, but you want to keep it simple and kind of cover all the bases. Anti-diarrhea medication, cold medication, because if you ate something wrong, let's just say you got some game and for some reason it was spoiled and you got the runs, you're going to get dehydrated. So and a lot of people overlook that and the common cold. And a shit hits the fan scenario, a lot of people will be spreading around diseases, common colds, or I should say viruses, and obviously diseases, but common colds to the flu. You want to kind of relieve that for yourselves. And I think everyone knows when you're sick, regardless of how tough you are, and if you're really sick, it just brings you down. So you want to kind of relieve that. So I usually have stuff like that in my med kit. So it's just basic first aid and medication. Now, if you're on medications from the doctors, I don't know really what to say, because right now I'm not on no medications from the doctors at all, so I really don't have an answer with that. That's something you're going to have to look up for. Tools is number 6. A knife. Get yourself a good knife. Don't waste like $250 on a knife. You'll see a lot of survival channels that's trying to sell their $250, $300 knife. I'm sure they're great. I'm a big fan of my SK5. Once you start talking about knives, kind of like what I just led into, you're going to always have people be like, no, you want this knife, no, you want cold steel, no, you want this knife, you want a Mora. Find the right knife for you if it fits right, and make sure that you're able to do all tasks with the knives. You don't have to go all tactical, which a lot of survival people do. They'll go all tactical. They watch too much Rambo movies. They probably don't even know what boots feel like. So you want a good knife. Optional is an axe. Axe will come in handy mostly in a cold environment for processing wood, what have you. Even a hatchet, machete, an extra blade. I usually carry 2 blades with me. I'll carry my 5-inch or my SK5, or I'll carry my BK7, depending on if the wife's going out with me, because she loves the SK5, and we only have one of them, so we have to kind of share. And I always have a pocket knife on me. And a big misconception about a knife is that they think, oh, I got this big knife, I can use it for everything. Wrong. That's not the point of it. That's why you have a pocket knife. Pocket knives are for smaller duties. Big knife is to process games, bigger pieces of lumber. You want to save your blade. A lot of people, they just like using their big knives because it brings up their egos. I don't know. Okay, now with the knife, you're going to need a knife sharpener. Okay? You got to take care of your tools. Okay? Pure and simple. I mean, yeah, you can use a rock to sharpen your blade, but I'd rather just carry a small sharpener and take care of my tools. Just get a small one. You can use it for pretty much any kind of blades. A repair kit, which I have a video on that. So if you haven't seen it, just go look at it. It'll give you some ideas of what to have in your repair kit. Some people, they like to go with, walkie-talkies. Well, speaking of tools, you want a flashlight with extra batteries. Plus extra batteries, okay? In the dark, you need to see it. But you also have fire. You got fire for your shelter. You got fire to cook your food, which I overlooked with the food, kind of hot to myself, or hot to head with myself. You want a flashlight. All the other things in your items that I listed here and kind of went over, you don't really need. You can if you want to make your life easier, but you want to cover your 5 basic things here. Now, obviously, we have to get to number 1 yet. You know, you want to cover your water, you want to cover a shelter, you want to cover your food. You really want to learn how to get your own food. And I'm going to go with the yo-yo trap. At least you can catch fish. If every man and woman out there is hunting the lands in a survival situation, the game's going to be gone. And that even goes for fish. Your MREs, your mountain house, what have you, that's only for emergency purposes only. Let's just say there's a crisis and you had to leave your home, what have you, and it's the next day and you're hungry and you're going to open up your MREs to eat. Dumb. That is for emergency only. If you can't get your own food, if you can't your own fish, your own game, that's it. Okay, so you have to use a little common sense with your food. You know, and then you got your med kit and then your tools. Now, let's go to number 1. Sorry for the smearing of the board. But we'll work through it. Number 1. I think you all pretty much have a good idea what number 1 is. A fire kit. Remember, fire kit. Okay, the fire will cover your shelter. It will cover your food, your water, etc. Remember, with shelter, the fire will keep you warm because you already have your number 1 shelter on, which would be your clothes, a shelter, your food. I mean, unless if you want to eat a raw squirrel or a raw deer, you know, you're going to be using your med kit, I guarantee you. So if you really want to try out your med kit and your diarrhea pills and you haven't had the flu or the runs in a while, go knock yourself out. I wouldn't recommend it though. Purifies your water and etc. In case if I miss some stuff. I should have myself a little notepad so I can just move along smoothly without trying to wing it a little bit here. What do you want in a fire kit? You need something to start the fire. Rod. I always have a rod. Matches. Don't get the camping matches that you get at your local store, like those little deal things. First of all, they snap easily. In my opinion, they're useless. I bought a crap load of them. Don't waste your money on it. Go to the hardware store, buy those nice thick strike anywhere, anytime matches or anywhere matches. A Bic lighter. Yes, a Bic lighter. I'm sure I'm gonna get a bunch of comments about the whole lighter situation of, you know, well, I use this kind of lighter, you know, whatever. Just have a lighter, but I prefer a Bic lighter and a push down lighter. I'll have a push down and I'll also have a wheel one. You know, depending on in my kits. I have lighters all over the place in my kits. The push ones down is in my main fire kit for one simple reason. When it's cold out, it's harder to turn that wheel. It's easier to push down. There's all different other things out there that you can use to obviously start a fire. I mean, if you're really good at a bow drill, I can't do it, have never practiced it, don't have time to do it. I'm just using man-made stuff. And then I don't live outside on a consistent basis. I just test the stuff that I find that works. So, I know I mean, those typical 3 things there is going to pretty much help you. You know, the reason why you want several different things to start a fire is sometimes a rod won't work. You might need more of a heat that may come from a match. Sometimes a match may not work. You may need something like a lighter of some sort. I'll also have inside my kits something to help with the fire to catch with the sparks. I usually go with fire straws. dryer lint, duct tape, which is in the repair kit, a little bit of duct tape. Now obviously your rod won't be able to light the duct tape. Your rod will be able to light your flint and your fire straw, which I have a video with a fire straw. You can make your own eggshell carton with wax and dryer lint in there. I'm going to be making those hopefully tonight or tomorrow and try those out. I've seen a video on YouTube and I actually want to give it a kind of a test run because I test all my gear at home. So you want something that will catch your fire. And these are just a couple examples. I mean, the list can be endless, but don't overdo it. Don't take your fire kit and make a big old sack. You don't need it. You got natural environment, natural things out there to start a fire. You know, but you have to learn the basics of starting a fire. It's not like going camping where you can get those little fire starter logs and just throw a big log down and throw a match on it and start throwing your lumber on it. You need to learn the basics of starting that fire. Okay? So that's basically everything with the 72-hour bug out bag that you need to know. Is just to start off with the basics. Save your money. Don't go out there and buy a bunch of stuff. And what a lot of people will overlook is that they'll depend on everything that I listed on this part of it, the fire kit part, and all the other parts of that's life and death. Well, a lot of people overlook things, and I'm sure this is going to tick off if there's anyone that watches my channels that are trying to sell stuff from their stores. Take a walk down the street. Just look at the ground. People are litter bugs. There's litter everywhere. Fishing line. That's why I only carry just a little bit. I carry enough to fish with, so probably maybe 20 feet of it, if that. Because if I'm going to be fishing by the water, the chances are I'm going to find some in the tree. I'm going to find bobbers. But I will bring like one with me, etc. And that's for emergency reasons only, in case if I can't find anything. So you have to kind of look outside of the box. When you pack everything in your backpack, including the kitchen sink, and all of a sudden you run across something and you got no room to put it in there, or you're dressed in layers and you're getting hot, what are you going to dump your outer shelter, your jacket, because you have no room in your pack? You got to keep room for everything. Things that you find, things that you need. You know, what a lot of people do is when they buy a pack, they'll stuff everything in there and they'll buy more crap. I'm guilty of it. Been down that road. I was a gear hog. You know, thank God for Gear Hog Anonymous, which would be my wife, and then eventually one day I realized I'm just wasting a lot of money on a bunch of useless things. So that's basically the 72-hour bug out bag summary. Any questions with that, you know, leave a comment, ask, and I'll answer as best as I can. Excuse me. Like I said, the examples that I put up here aren't like the golden things I have in there. It's just kind of a summary of what to have in there. But go out there and try things. Yeah, majority of all the stuff you already have in your house, in your apartment, in your basement, whatever, you know. Don't go out there and say, oh well, you know what, this fire starter here is $40, or this lighter here is $40. This is better than $1.25, $1.29 lighter. Take the $1.29, save yourself $39 or $38 in whatever sentence it is. So hopefully this will clear up some of the misconceptions out there, and it makes a little sense of where I'm going with this. So that's pretty much it for this part of the video. Excuse me again. I'm gonna most likely down the road make one with my bug out bag, and you're gonna probably see some of the extra stuff that I do have in there in that extra part that I had over here, the tools. You know, because there are some extras. You know, you do want to be a little bit more comfortable. But don't sit there and start packing pillows and all that stuff. You know, I mean, a sleeping bag's important in winter. But those are going to be future videos. I don't want to just keep dragging this on. But like I said, this is just the basics. Any questions, link below. I closed out that Facebook group. I'm going to be opening up another page pretty soon. So the link will eventually be up there. And once again, thank you for liking. Share if you think that there's someone out there that this might come in handy, you know, for ideals and that's interested. And you know, go around, look at other channels. I mean, there's plenty out there. Wilderness Outfitters, I recommend highly. I always usually go to that one. And there's a couple other ones I can't think offhand. You know, go check it out. But remember, you have to get out there and do dirt time. Even if it's in your own backyard, if it's on your porch, or even if you're able to go out into the park. But abide by the local laws. I don't want you to get a ticket. So once again, thank you for watching, and everyone take care.